Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a great week. Seems to be a very interesting one over here. Um, I'm starting to think that this is going to be funny. I'm starting to think that the Millers, especially John Paul, need attention. Probably the reason why, the half wits that started the rumors last week. Because think about it. Think about the life that you live. You don't go out of your way to start rumors or make prank phone calls because why? Because you're an adult and you have a life, and you don't need that kind of attention like a 5-year-old. But people who do these things, you have to really kind of feel bad for them, because they must have a very boring life. But we're going to help them out today. We're going to give them that attention that they crave. And so let me just start off with a phone call I got earlier, which is just dumber than dumb. If you remember Dumb and Dumber, they were rocket scientists in comparison to the idiot that tried to call me earlier. So somebody calls me from I think it was Columbus, South Carolina, wireless call. So right there tells me this is a cell phone or it is not a landline. Let's put it that way. When it comes up wireless, it means it is not a landline. And so I answer it naturally, just out of morbid curiosity. And anything that comes from South Carolina, I tend to ignore because for good reason. But this time I was like, what the hell? And so I pick it up, and this is exactly what it sounded like. You ready? And I'm holding my nose now. Hi, is this Anne Marie Plagenberg? And I said, yeah. And they said, this is Citibank. Now, let me just stop right there. Citibank is not going to call me from a wireless number. Okay, clueless? So if you're going to pull that stunt off, just be better at it, It's you couldn't. I mean, scammers from India are smarter than this. At least they call you with the actual Citibank and number on there. But this idiot didn't even bother to even attempt to look like the real thing. Of course I went, yeah, okay, and hung up. But you got to laugh. You got to laugh because they must be getting very bored. And I don't think it's just John Paul. I think it's the flying monkeys that are around him. And they're like, Anne's not talking about us anymore. We have to do something. So you're going to get your way today. You are going to get your way. So I have noticed that a few people have come online. Maybe they were busy doing whatever in their lives, come back online, and they're talking about the Chris Skinner case and the Micah Miller case as if they know something. Okay. And what I mean by that is they go and they watch snippets of this show and that show. And when I say snippets, I really mean snippets. And then they come to a conclusion that's not even close to the actual truth. And so I'm here to clear the record. Okay. I'm here to make sure that's what's out there is the truth. Because the last thing we need is opinion filled misinformation. A lot of us work very hard and tirelessly on getting to the truth about both Chris and Micah. And whether these people's intentions were good or bad is not the issue. The point is, if you're going to go out there, at least say, this is my opinion or this is alleged. But just to come out and say, I'm going to debunk the wheelchair thing, or I'm going to, I don't believe this or I don't believe that, or just to come up with your own clueless nonsense about Mike or Chris is not only irresponsible, but it's not fair to the families and the people who are grieving these people and the ones who are seeking their justice. So if you're listening, whoever you are, and you know who you are, I would suggest just either fall back and pay attention to the people who've done the work and allow the justice to go forward, or maybe learn the facts and report the facts. And that would help the whole situation in total. Now, if you're a flying monkey working for John Paul, then I get it. You're getting paid to be a chaotic confusion. Well, that's okay. That's why I'm here today, and I'm going to, like I said, um, settle the score. I'm going to make sure that the truth is out there if something's, bear repeating. And so that's what I'm going to do today. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the Chris Skinner case first, and then I'm just going to verbally give you what we had found in the Mike Miller case, which you guys all know already. But like I said, sometimes things need to be repeated. Now, in court, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but intent is very important. Intention will be able to tell a judge and a jury if somebody wanted to harm that person to the point of death or it was an accident and didn't mean to hurt them. So intent of the heart, or the intent of the mind, or the intent of the person is very, very important. So remember, we're gonna bring that forward as well, because that is important regarding Chris and Mica. We're gonna start with Chris. So I'm gonna start off with first, the very first video that I did back in July 3rd, 2024, of the wheelchair. And it's a very short snippet of a video. Oops, sorry, I hit the mic again. And we're going to start with that, and then we're going to go on to everything else. And you'll see. You will see. Okay? It'll all fit. It'll all tie together. All right. So let's start off with this video. Few people come to me and ask me if an electronic wheelchair can be controlled remotely, and it seems that it can. The ones that you can find on Google that will tell you that it is possible, that are controlled by an app, by the way, is Tech4 Remote Control Power, ComfyGo X9, ComfyGo IQ 7000. Now, what I find interesting, as far back as 2016, and I'll put the link in there for you to read it, is an article from Forbes where it says, and let me read you the title, it's very intriguing. This guy let me control his wheelchair with an Xbox gamepad. So what does that mean? That means that any of these electronic wheelchairs can be hacked, can be controlled remotely, and if you know what you're doing, can be controlled with something as simple as an Xbox gamepad. So there you go. It is possible. And again, you got to take into account that 2 weeks before Chris Skinner's death, that JP had said that, or I'm sorry, not JP, but Chris had asked JP not to leave his wife and kids alone, right? Okay, so let's take that into consideration. I talked about the chest thing. We already know about that. So it is very suspicious. The walls are closing in, obviously. The truth is coming out. Somebody had asked me for the name of the model and the year and the make or whatever of the chair Chris had. I don't know if we can get that information. If anybody has that, great, please share it. But, according to the Forbes.com article, it seems like any electronic wheelchair can be hacked, can be controlled remotely, and controlled simply with just a game controller. So it's very possible. It can happen. So there you go. I hope that answers that question. That is a very high possibility that can happen and may have happened to Mr. Skinner. Okay? You have any more information or questions, please just send me a message and we'll take care of it. Thanks. Okay, so if you recall, I had said intentions are very important, right? Now, let's talk about that for a second. Intentions. That was recorded very first time, July 3rd, 2024. July 4th, 2024, at around 10 a.m., I get a phone call from John Paul Miller. Why? Because I struck a chord. Because the truth came out that he didn't think would ever come out. That's why. Now, I just want to show you a couple of things here, and it's going to be quick, but it's important that we bring it to the forefront. This one is called What Really Happened to Chris, and I can put these in the chat after if you guys want to watch it yourselves in full. Okay, so what I'm showing you here, and really it's that I'm just trying to show you that Chris was left-handed. You see that he is controlling the chair with his left hand. Okay, I want to make sure you see that. It is important that you see it. Now, let me go forward a little bit. I hate having to play this. I really, really do. Okay, so here's Chris. Now, why am I showing you this? This is the only video that every FOIA that has gone out to the police department, this is the only video we got. However, there is a video that was never given to anybody via FOIA of Chris going from the chess table around the pool to the spot where you see him right now. Now, in the interview with Tamara and Chris's mother, with the police, and that's on one of the truth strips, and I have that. You can find it in my videos. I think it's the very first truth strip that I did. Their mother says that she saw this video. She watched it and questioned, why was his chair jerking around the pool? I want you to remember that. That is vital. Chris has been using a wheelchair for 20 years. Obviously, he is capable of controlling his own wheelchair. No matter what's going on with it, no chair is going to act up like that. Remember also that the chair that he's sitting in right now had the capability of standing up straight. We've seen a picture of him doing that. Why didn't he do that when he was in the water? Because he was not controlling the chair. Why was the chair jerking as it was going around the pool? Because someone else was controlling it. Please pay attention. If you are listening to this for the first time, I will explain it all to you, okay? I will show you. Now, why would Chris go to the chess set? This is a man who allegedly was taking his own life. So he goes to the pool area, okay, according to anybody who believes that story. And he's going to take his own life, but first he's going to go sit by the chess set. Does that make sense to anybody? I mean, if you're going to go and do it, you're going to go and do it. You're not going to go stand by the chess set and go play chess first. But because he was lured to the chess set via invitation by someone who never showed up, and now all of a sudden is being wheeled around the pool in a jerking fashion, he's not controlling that chair. So let's go over that. Let's go over the not jerking the chair. Let's just go over being able to control a chair. Okay? It's like sometimes you got to just I don't mind doing this because I don't mind. And by the way, the right people have been tagged to this video, so they are watching, they are paying attention. All right. Here we go. Now, this is one of the videos that I showed you where this man hacked. Forget the app. Do not bring up the friggin' app again. I never said the word app, except for the first video where I mentioned that chairs have an app with a remote control. True. But that's not the point we're making here. The point we're making is the chair has been hacked. Why is that so difficult? Why is the word hack so difficult for people to understand? Okay. Please pay attention. Controlling the chair? How about there? Is it Casper the Friendly Ghost?
Hello, YouTube. Sean here from Grunge Garage. I wanted to share my latest project with you. Uh, I'm working towards building a remote control lawnmower. So the first step in that is to come up with something to push the lawnmower around. I initially started looking at found some things online where you guys have used wheelchair motors to do that. So I started looking in that direction. While I was looking for wheelchair motors, though, I actually stumbled across a whole wheelchair for really cheap. So I ended up picking up a Invacare Storm NDX5. Yeah, it's got brushless DC motors, which I would have been very tough for me to control without having the chair's built-in controllers. Yeah, so heck of a deal. But as you can see, it's missing some of the don't have any cushions or any pedal or any foot pedals or any of that stuff, which was part of why I got such a good deal on it. But anyway, so I after some tinkering and messing around, I did manage to get it to work. So
Hello.
I do have a remote control electric wheelchair right now.
Do you see what's in his hand?
So how did I do that? Well, I used a Arduino microcontroller. So basically, it's receiving the RC or outputs from the controller, doing a little bit of math on it, processing the signal, and then outputting the basically the joystick control. So it's replicating the joystick on the controller. So
Replicating
all of the built-in safeties and regenerative braking and all that good stuff that this chair has built into it into the controller. While getting RC control. The joystick controls are actually fairly easy to replicate. They're based around 2.5 volts. There's four inputs that you need. So there's forward, reverse, and then there's an inverse of that. So neutral is 2.5 volts, and then forward is full forward is 3.5 volts on one signal, and then 1.5 volts on the other signal. And then left right works the same way. So it's all based around a 2.5 volt neutral, and then it's either plus 1 volt or minus 1 volt. So I was able to use the pulse width modulation on the Arduino Uno with a resistor and a capacitor to try and smooth out the voltage so that the chair would accept it and not throw a fault, because it can be somewhat picky over what it receives.
Did you hear that?
Now, for those of you who
it can be picky about what it receives. So if that math is not done correctly, you will have a chair that's jerking. Please pay attention to what this young man is saying because he's explaining it.
Want a little bit more detail on how it works, I'll show you what my circuit looks like. So I've got my Arduino Uno. So I've got using input 7 and 8 for the RC receiver, and using channels 1 and 2 for it. And so channel 2 is forward reverse, channel 1 is right left from the RC receiver. So from there it goes into the Arduino Uno. So it's using pin interrupt to basically capture that signal. So as that RC signal changes, it's capturing that. And then I'm using outputs 3, 9, 10, and 11 on the Arduino Uno set up with pulse width modulation. So that goes through a 4.7 kilohertz resistor, and then off to the appropriate input on the joystick connection to the chair. And then I've got a 1 microfarad capacitor, and then off the ground. So that's kind of my circuit in a nutshell. So what does that actually look like? Well, so here's the controller. So here's the joystick input that I'm replicating. There's my breadboard with my capacitors and my resistors. And then I've got my Arduino Uno here with with the appropriate pins. Right now it's all just breadboarded, so it's kind of a little makeshift at the moment. And then for power for the Arduino, I'm just using this little battery power pack at the moment. I guess one thing I will note too is on the safety aspect, this is a big, heavy machine, and if you do try to do this at home, be very careful with it, because it will do up to 7 miles an hour and probably weighs 250, 300 pounds. So it can go crashing through fences or, seriously damage property and people. And so, yeah, that's my safety note.
Now think about his safety note for a minute. If you're using something that's very powerful and you're pushing a grown man, I don't know how much Chris weighed, but he's in that chair, plus the weight of the chair. Why is the chair jerking? Because it might be more powerful than it was actually meant with the app and the remote that came with it. So instead of it going crashing through things, you've got to be able to control it. Now, I just explained to you how it could be done. I just showed you. Well, this man showed you, right? Okay, now let's talk about intent. Because that's important here. All right. So this is the witness. Okay. That was giving the interview regarding what she or he, I'm not even sure, the voice has been modified, on what the conversation between John Paul and Chris regarding remote controlling the wheelchair. And we will go over that, but listen to her words.
Well, JP would try to befriend Chris. I feel like Chris would read through him. He was trying to be friends with Chris, and there was a talk in the garage one day, and I don't know if it was as a joke or I don't know if it's just real, but JP said while I was standing there, I think it would be great if we could remotely control your wheelchair. Anyway, he said jokingly, well, it'd be great if we could just remote control the wheelchair. Well, the way he said it did not settle with me at all. There were many times that he was assisting with the wheelchair. Many times. I don't know the extent of, if he would have done anything to damage Chris's wheelchair at the time, but I do know that at the time that Chris had died, just prior to that, Susie told me that she wanted everything to end. She said she couldn't take care of Chris anymore. She was burned out. She was tired of it, and she just fantasized about moving out with Davey. Wow. I am not kidding.
Okay. So let's talk about intent. Why would he want so badly to remote control that chair? Why would he? Why would he want to know how? Because he's never remote controlled a chair before. He's never controlled a chair. I remember when I sat down in my mother-in-law's chair for the first time, I had to learn how to manipulate that chair. And I was sitting in it. If you're not sitting in it and you're at a distance, even more so do you have to know how to be able to maneuver that chair. And you're overriding the person in the chair, by the way, by doing that. That's in that Forbes article. Now we're talking about intent, right? Okay. So that was the intent on why he was so adamant about wanting to remote control the chair. Because he wanted to see how he could do it, how he could handle it. Let's move forward. We're all about intent now, right? Yeah. I think this is it. Hold on. I always forget which screen. Now, just so you. Oh, sorry. Wrong one. Sorry. Forgive me. Forgive me. This is the one. Okay. That was the remote control. Forgive me, guys. Screen. Let me get this one. So we're talking about intent again. We're still talking about intent. We're on intent. All right.
So after he passed away, he would talk to me about the life insurance policy and that he was standing to get a lot of money and that he had to go up to the hospital and he had to do a lot of fighting with a lot of nurses for a lot of reasons, and he was always mad about it. And she said to me that she's going to keep working because even though she's getting a lot of money, she's still going to keep her job and all of it. So she was talking a lot about money. So then I was like, okay, well, at this time, it's 2021, right after Chris's death, Susie would come to my house. And she was at my house distraught, crying, saying that she just loved JP and that, JP feels like God is telling him that she's supposed to be his wife. And the more she talked, the sicker I got. And I said, he is using you. I'm like, something is wrong, Susie. And she was like, no. She's like, I love him and I want to be with him. She's like, the only problem is with my kids. So she said she was sneaking around with him constantly, dating him, like right after Chris died. And I kept telling her, you need to take some time. She's like, I don't need any time. I'm like, okay, super weird. Well, then Mica Miller turns up dead. And come to find out that Susie is still with JP.
Okay. So you got that, right? Now, oh, come on. Friggin' notifications. So let me share this with you one more time. We've seen this before, but like I said, sometimes things need to be repeated. You remember the last time I read this, I absolutely freaked out. So don't worry, I will be fine today. This is Shonda was friends with Susie. I remember when she said in 2021, we are just friends. He's hot and I like him, but he's married. Shonda's reply was, so are you. Married, that is. And then she told me as she was crying on my living room floor, sometimes I just wish Chris was dead and this was all over. Then Chris died, then Mica died, and now JP and Susie are married. Okay. So, talking about intent. How much more intent do you need? Now, let's bring up Mica for a minute. And again, I will put that link for this as well if you want in the chat. But it's all available on my channel. All of this that I just showed you, available. Me and McLovin had done a show back in March, if you guys remember. And we were able to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, which is enough for any courtroom in this nation, that the very ammo that Mica had purchased on that day was not the ammo used on her that day. Because the injury she sustained did not match the ammo. So why would, and sure enough, Robeson County shows this receipt dated on the 27th with weapon and ammo, clearly saying it's hollow point. Yet we have photos of her injuries. There's no way it was a hollow point. Not even close. So then where did it come from? Where did the ammo come from? Who had it? Who used it? Wasn't Mica. Why would she purchase ammo if she has ammo? It makes no sense. So you got two suspicious deaths. You've got the girlfriend, now wife, who's openly stating that she's going to come into a lot of money. You got the pastor boyfriend, who's almost insisting on remote controlling his chair. You've got the mother of both Tamara and Chris, who sees this video the police very conveniently didn't share in a FOIA because they knew we would have seen it, of Chris going from the chess sets around the pool where his chair is fidgeting and jumping. And just like this young man explained, when you hack a wheelchair, it can make it more powerful. You got to be careful. And so imagine that that's what's happening with Chris's chair, and they have to control it so that it doesn't go flying into something. Because why? That would look suspicious, wouldn't it? Because what would happen if Chris would have lived through something like that and tells the authorities, I didn't even control my chair. This just happened to me. Best way to do it is override the chair and put him in the water. And by overriding his chair, stops him from making it stand up straight and stops him from being able to stop the chair altogether. He couldn't control it at all. And with Mica, although her father says that she purchased what she purchased on that day at the pawn shop to defend herself and to protect herself, it was not used on her that day. And we could go down the line on all of the things that make no sense with Mica's death. We could be here all afternoon. So that's the truth of the matter. Plenty of truth is out there regarding the suspicion, high suspicion, of Chris Skinner's death and Mica Miller's death. And by the way, both are being investigated by the FBI. No matter what Flying Monkey tells you differently, or the camp of John Paul Miller and Susie Skinner. If they can't deal with the truth, that is their problem. But the truth of the matter is, it is being investigated. And just because some moron comes up with a rumor that he turned himself in and it's not true, that doesn't take away from the fact that he is still under federal investigation. That's the truth. The truth is that these two had intent to harm Chris, and they did it. The truth was that Susie wanted him gone already. Twice you've heard that. And she stood to come into a lot of money. So both Chris and Mica were in the way of these two being able to do and accomplish what they wanted to do and accomplish. And so they got rid of them. As simple as that. 2 days after Mica files divorce and serves him divorce papers with a protection order, she's gone. That's not suspicious? That's normal? That's the truth of the matter, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why I believe not just John Paul Miller is being investigated and watched, I believe Susie is too. I believe everyone in John Paul Miller's camp is being watched and investigated. Whether they want to believe it or not, or accept it or not, that's their problem. But let me explain this one more time, John Paul. If you think that you're going to start rumors or call people's houses with prank calls, and that's going to scare me off, you are dumber than a box of rocks. All that does is piss me off to where I'm willing to get behind the mic once again and call you out on your BS. And I'll keep doing this and doing this and doing this till the feds show up at your door and slap those friggin' cuffs on your wrists and take your ass away. And I, with many other people, look forward to that day. And now, because of the rumor in the phone call, I pray that you are humiliated in front of the public. I know the feds are listening. I pray that you guys arrest him openly and publicly. Perp walk his ass in front of everyone because he deserves it. He deserves it. So there you go, guys. That's the show of the day. If you know of anybody that needs to know this truth, please share this show. This is a reminder of what we're waiting for and why we're waiting for it. And the more and more it's put out there, the more and more it stays alive. Mica and Chris's case never go cold. And that's our job, is to make sure it never goes cold. And the smartest thing for those people to do is to be quiet, not start rumors, not make prank phone calls, just be quiet. Because if you're going to start any kind of crap, this is going to be the result. I'm going to remind the world, just like everybody else is going to remind the world, of why you are under federal investigation, why you will never be able to build another ministry, and that your freedom is temporary. Just know that. Lay your head down tonight on that pillow and know that at any moment you can be in a cold federal prison cell. Anyhow, thank you guys for joining me. I will be back soon, I'm sure. And we could also go over Mica's case if you like. That would be very, very easy for me to do. And so if that's something that you'd like for me to do, I have no problem doing that. But if you know of anybody that's out there trying to push some BS, false information, please share this video with them. Please tag them. And I really appreciate you being with me. We're on 38 minutes, which is a record for us because usually we're here for 2 hours. But thank you guys for joining me. I will be back soon. Please enjoy your weekend if I don't see you beforehand. Please stay in prayer. Psalm 91, Lord's Prayer, always in Yeshua's name. And until I see you guys again, please stay safe and God bless.